The death penalty should be the same in every state, but I also think that we should not have one at all. This is such a serious issue because it's still legal in 28 states, and I have a few reasons on why we shouldn't have the death penalty at all. For one, you can't take it back. 18 people were proven innocent after being on death row, and one guy was even, after he was injected with the lethal injection, they found out that he wasn't guilty at all for the crime that they put him to death for. It also doesn't affect the person who was committed for the crime, because say they just murdered like 15 people, well, they're gonna put them to death for doing that. They're just basically getting the easy way out. Same if they would have committed suicide. They committed this crime and, well, you're gonna be put to death for this. They're not really learning the problem for what they did. It's also not humane because a lethal injection can take up to hours. For one man, it took up to 37 minutes, and that's probably the least amount of time that it's taken, and it's just not the right. It also, well, it violates the right to life because you're letting them slowly die and just be in pain this whole time, and you're getting medical and doctors involved who swore to help save lives, but you're putting someone to death. This makes the public look into the death, and in some states they also live stream it, and that's one, it violates privacy for the family of the person who's getting put to death, and to the families who maybe that person killed their daughter or son. Some are sentenced and some aren't. One man and his friend were both committed for a crime, and one took the whole blame for it, and the other guy said he didn't know that he took the blame, and that man was put to death while his other friend was just in prison for maybe 4 years. A lot of religions are against this because Christ opposes to killing those who committed a crime, and it's just, not right. A lot of prisoners who were committed of this crime or maybe they can't afford a good lawyer, so they have poor defense who can't back them up, or they're mentally ill and that doesn't help them because of the state of mind that they're in, because maybe they get nervous in front of being in front of the court, or they don't know how to respond because their mindset just isn't in the right place. In some prisons, it's just applied randomly. So if you have death row and there's 50 people in death row, well, they might select 15 people and say, well, you're getting the death penalty, and, you just don't know who's gonna get in, who isn't. This also isn't right because you're letting, they're not innocent. Some of them might not be innocent, but they're still in prison serving time for what they did. And taxpayers are paying for the federal government to put these people at death, because the federal government and military are still using the death penalty against, maybe, say they went to Iraq and they found these men who killed American soldiers. They might give them the death penalty for doing that, and it's just not correct, But I definitely think that we should abolish this law or this penalty because, like I said, it's not teaching these people what they did was wrong. It's just showing them, well, if I do this crime, I can probably get the death penalty and just get out of it. If we would have the death penalty and it was the same in every state, I think that would prevent a lot of issues, because in some states they might say, if you did this crime, well, you're gonna get it immediately, But other states might say, well, you have to serve this amount of time on death row and then you'll be given the death penalty. But in conclusion, I definitely think that we should get rid of the death penalty and find another solution for these criminals to obtain, and maybe just find a different solution to help protect those that are on death row or have received the death penalty.